Yo Pop, El Wiro, City Boy. Sorry. Oh my gosh. I don't even know if I'm gonna upload this, but if I do, then I apologize for the audio in advance. I am in the new office and there's nothing in here in order to insulate the sound, so it sounds whack. I think so at least. Anyway, not that my video quality is good, So sorry. Anyways, wanted to make a video pertaining to my trading model, how I execute day to day, how I utilize all of these concepts right here in order to, well, like I just said, execute day to day. What I want to quickly mention, this is just easier word, mention, before I go into anything, is that I do not utilize a top down overly mechanical approach, where it's like, you have your top down analysis and then you have your structured rule book of rules on how to follow. Like, I'm only going to use liquidity sweep and SMT and a fair value gap. Like, not like that. Not anymore, at least. Did I used to do that? Of course. I think everyone has at one point, but I just realized that does not work for me and it does not allow me to also develop my discretion. So, oh my gosh, where is it? Okay, you could tell I've done this for a multitude of takes. That's why all this is here. It's like my 30th take. But anyway, now that I just mentioned my structure, or well, sorry, instead sorry, dude, it's been a couple of takes. I instead choose to utilize an overall structure that provides me with clarity when approaching the market day to day. And from then, that's when I play fill in the blank. And based upon what price action is doing, those are the confluences I basically insert. Pause. Dude, my teeth. Oh, my teeth. It's probably have a cavity. Well, I do, but ow, dude. Anyway, that'll make sense in a second. Why? Because I'm about to explain it to you, so pay attention, I guess. The overall structure I utilize is power of three. Every single trade I take deviates off of power of three. That's what I found works best for me, and that is what provides me with the most clarity. Well, that's why I use it. I wouldn't use it if it didn't provide me with clarity, if I was clueless. But anyway, every single trade I take deviates off of power 3, whether that be catching reversals or continuations. Before the trade idea of the power of 3 ever starts or begins, I utilize an SMT or a sequential SMT in order to confirm that reversal. Most oftentimes, when you're catching the manipulation of the power of 3 going into the distribution, you are oftentimes catching the reversal. However, there are times where you're not always catching the reversal, the top of the top or the low of the reversal, and you have to react to what price is showcasing to you and catch the continuation. The commonality between these two, and the difference, but we'll get into the difference in a sec, but the commonality between both reversals and continuations and the power of 3 is that all of them are backed by the same thing, that smart money reversal, and that confluence being SMT. Understood? Understood. So let's label this here. Overall structure. Bang. Right here. Very simple to understand. Simple. This is a react to what PA is showcasing. How do you spell showcase? Showcasing. Are we going to have the ability to catch, the reversal, or are we going to have to catch the continuation? Before I go into that, I want to mention my draw on liquidity, because the main things that stay the same, where I would preface is more mechanical, is the overall structure and my draw on liquidity. My draw on liquidity is always the same. It is either low resistance liquidity, range highs or lows. I do have previous day high and low in the Discord here. Where is it, dude? Right here, but I don't really use that as much as I should. I don't really use it that much, so that'll fall into the category of range highs and lows. Another thing I also utilize, is key opens. A lot of people utilize key opens as entries. I was never good with that. I just don't know how to do it. So I'm not gonna. I just don't know how to do it. Not yet, at least. In the future, who knows? Maybe I'll refine my trading further and learn how to execute wiki opens. Oh, by the way, before I continue any further, this is all of my knowledge up to this point. So obviously, future me will have a better understanding of my model and everything right now than I do right now. So, bear with me here. I'm going based off of all the knowledge I know now. Will I learn more? Yes. Now, before we continue any further, these are my draw on liquidity. My draws on liquidity. There is always, I guess this was the easiest way for me to say it. The draw on liquidity is always in line with SMT. What I was about to say was there's always an opposing SMT. However, that makes it sound messy. Let me just showcase to you guys and then say it again so it makes sense. For example, if our draw on liquidity, sell side down here, there is always an opposing SMT up here toward that draw on liquidity. Does that make sense? I know how to say it. I could ask ChatGPT, but I'm not going to because you guys should really understand. It's not hard. There's always an SMT opposing to the draw on liquidity. Make sense? So for example, let's say our draw on liquidity was higher right here. I'm looking for an SMT opposing to that draw on liquidity. I'm looking for an SMT to that draw on liquidity. Holy cow, I don't know why that was so hard to say, man. Bro will study his trading but can't study English. Like, no wonder I failed. Well, I didn't fail. That's a lie. I failed and then I went to online class and I passed it, but that's because it was online class. I would have. Anywho, these are the things that stay mechanical, both my draw on liquidity and my overall structure. What varies, I guess, what fluctuates is my confluences. Bang. This is solely reactive to what price action is showcasing. So after the sequential SMT or the regular SMT occurs within that power of 3, that is when I play fill in the blank. Very simply, I'm looking to see, hey, what confluences do we have? One thing I have found that increased my win rate significantly is utilizing change in stated delivery. So, you may hear me mention that a couple times, mainly because that is the main thing I'm using right now in order to confirm the move rather than utilizing, retracement into order block or anything like that. So, but that's, like I said, that's where we play fill in the blank. Hey, did we form an order block? Do we have a BPR, fair value gap, inverse fair value gap? Are we retracing for OTE? Are you going to use EQ? Is there an overlapping key open with the potential change in stated delivery? Did we form a rejection block? You guys get the point, so on and so forth. It's reacting to what price is showcasing, meaning if price showcases that SMT with that overall power of 3, you're looking to catch a reversal and there is a rejection block or for the sake of it, change in stated delivery, then guess what? That's how you're getting your entry. It's not hard to understand. It's not rocket science. Actually, I can't say that it's not rocket science because it took me 2 years to learn this. And that was with like studying every single day, committing myself every single day, and tens of thousands of hours to this. So it is rocket science. But it's not rocket science. Yeah, just plain fill in the blank. What is price action showcasing to me? Bang, plug and play. That is where all confluences go. So, I don't know, BPR, SASD, RP. I don't use rejection blocks at all, but OTE. This is oftentimes after a change in state of delivery. Inverse fair value gap, so on and so forth. You guys get the point. There you go. You plug and play. Plug and play. Why did I think of a butt plug? Sorry, dude. My music stopped, bro. Wait. Okay, we're locked back in. Okay. Bang. Plug and play. This is how you get your entry. This is to the draw on liquidity. For you guys that do not know the framework of a trading model, I will showcase that to you real quick. Obsidian. I don't always open Obsidian, but I want to showcase to you guys the framework of a trading model and how I utilize everything I have in order to have that framework. Where is it, dude? Right here. Okay, so the framework to a trading model is 5 things. We have bias, narrative, context, entry, and risk management. For this sake, of course, I mean, I can mention my risk management, but what do we have right here? How does, I'm about to blow up my PC. How does all of this right here play into the structure of my trading? Well, starting off with bias. How do I get my bias? Well, we have that right here. Low resistance liquidity, range highs or lows, and key opens. And we know that wherever we're trading toward, we will have an SMT to that draw on liquidity. That's simple right there. That's our bias. Narrative. How are we looking to get there? Same thing. That's where SMT comes in, based upon, whether we take out the high in SMT or take out the low in SMT. That's where that's where we're looking to trade toward. That's how we get our narrative in line with the draw on liquidity, bias, objective, call it whatever you want. Our context. Another thing that can also fall into narrative is power of 3 as well. Of course, like I said, or I didn't say this, but SMT and our power of 3 being our overall structure can be used as both narrative and context. Or context, both. Anywho, yeah. So going into context, that is where we utilize power of 3, and that is where we understand where we are based upon what price action is showcasing. Are we looking to catch a reversal, or are we looking to catch a continuation? You can see right here, the definition of context is a move from PD array to PD array. Very, very simply. You can pause and read this if you want to. Great case study I did a year ago. Next is entry. Right here, confluences. How are we plugging and playing? How are we watching what price has? How are we reacting to what price action is showcasing to us? Bang. Plugging your confluences right there. And then risk management for you guys that are curious. I'm risking $350 per trade idea. I take a max of 3 trades a day. Okay, 3 to 4 trades a day. It sounds like a lot, but that's what works best for me. I can go into that like a different video, the triads of trading, how I structured my trading and tailored my trading model toward me in the best way possible. But yeah, anyway, everything we have on the screen right here, everything I've showcased to you guys falls into the category of have the overall framework of a trading model. But anywho, I am going to show you guys, I guess, an example trade from this week. Skip past Thursdays. I can do Thursdays, but Thursdays was like, eh. We can also do Wednesdays. We'll do Tuesday. Monday I lost. Anywho, so let's go into just replay right here. Tuesday, just so we don't like get mumbo jumbo on the chart. I don't necessarily utilize the daily or the 4 hour. I will say that all of my trades deviate off of the hourly, the 15, 5 and 1. But we can see when going to the 15-minute, what do we have? Accumulation, manipulation. That is what I was looking to see going into New York. And then distribution, of course. I can turn on quarters if you guys want, just so it's easier to see. From Asia Open, accumulation, manipulation. That is what I was looking to see happen going into the Q3. Hide this, but even if regardless I didn't have that indicator of quarterly theory, still pretty obvious. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Now that we have the overall structure, what are we looking to do when we go on to the lower time frame? By the way, if we do not have that overall structure on the higher time frame, look for it on the lower time frame. Simple as that. If we don't have it on the lower time frame, don't try to force looking for it on the lower time frame. Wait for structure to develop. Simple as that. When going on to the lower time frame, or lower time frames, what did we also have? Well, we have power of 3, and guess what? We have low resistance liquidity down here. Holy cow. Low resistance liquidity, and we took out this range high. So what could we have expected going into New York? Well, if we have low resistance down here, if and only if we're looking to continue lower, then we'd want to see an SMT off of these highs continuing lower toward that liquidity. Very simple. It's not like, it's really not hard. But it took me like 2 years to figure out that it wasn't that hard. Like, oh my gosh, you guys, I hated it. I hated the learning process. Well, I loved it, but I hated it because I was like, dude, like, pfft. Anyway, going into New York, what else do we have? What can we see? Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. We did end up having an SMT at these highs as well, but so if we were looking to catch the manipulation, going from the manipulation to the distribution, the manipulation high in this example, how could we have caught this? Well, we had a 30-second change of state of delivery, could set your limit there, didn't get a retracement. That's exactly what happened to me. So guess what I did? Okay, well, we didn't get a retracement there. What did we just form? What is price actively doing? Formed a 1 minute fair value gap. Cool. It's actually a BPR, because this one right here. Execute at the midpoint or CE of the 1 minute fair value gap, targeting low resistance liquidity. Midnight was around over here. I forgot where it was, but I targeted range low. Simple as that. Really simple as that. And guess what? If you could not catch that reversal, you could catch the continuation. What did price continue to do? Fortunately, I didn't have to catch this continuation. This would have been a scary continuation. However, upon us displacing outside of this 1 minute fair value gap, limit here, SL at that high, still kept trading toward that range low down there. You would have nearly gotten stopped out. But another good example, or you could have targeted, that's still in the 30-second, by the way. If we go to the 1 minute, we can see what else we had. We didn't have much. Maybe the 5 minute. Nope, nothing. But that's when you react to what price action is doing. Where is price showcasing me an entry toward my drawn liquidity? Being able to make a contextual decision toward the drawn liquidity is very, very important. That is where you utilize your discretion and put together, hey, how is price looking to trade toward said drawn liquidity? How can I utilize my arsenal of concepts I have in order to find a trade toward that drawn liquidity? One more trade I'll showcase is Wednesday, because this was not a change in state of delivery day, which was right here. Better opportunity appeared later, but I was already off the chart. Anyways, overall higher time frame, power of 3. I was looking to see power of 3 higher. In this example, I was wrong. That was fine. I didn't need to be right for the whole move. I just needed to be right for part of the move, which I was. After 2 additional losses here. But huge displacement lower. Instead of a change in state of delivery, 1 minute inverse fair value gap. Execution into the 1 minute inverse. SL. Original SL was here. I ended up scaling in to where my SL was eventually here. Targeting low resistance liquidity, range high right there. Very simple. Very, very simple. Now I do want to mention, like, if you guys want an actual trade recap, I'm not going to give that to you because the video is already long, but max expansion, trading within max expansion after having taken out higher time frame liquidity. Okay, I guess I'm doing a trade recap now. After taking out, I'm not like a gatekeeper. I just don't want the video to be too long. After taking out higher time frame liquidity, so guess what? I took this trade off of SMT. It was this low. SMT. In this trade idea, yes, I was looking to see this act as the accumulation, manipulation, distribution. So I thought this was accumulation, manipulation, distribution, but that SMT was still there, and that overall idea of power of 3 was still there. However, I was wrong. Price provided a better power of 3 opportunity later, a clear power of 3. But SMT, inverse fair value gap, targeting low resistance liquidity. Simple as that. Did I take a couple losses before? Yes, but that is why I allow myself a multitude of trades. It just works best for me. The best power of 3 entry would have been the hourly. The hourly power of 3 we're about to check, or the 30-minute, but I don't really use the 30-minute. But let's check the hourly. Yeah, hourly power of 3. Hourly power of 3 continuation. Oh, well, hourly power of 3, 4 hour power of 3. Actually, wait, no, this was 7. I'm stupid. Sorry, hourly power of 3 continuation short. What did we and this is like how you react to price action. What do we have right here after my trend entry? I was looking at this, but I didn't take it. Retracing into a higher time frame, 15-minute displacement out of it. How do we confirm that displacement out of it? 1 minute change state delivery. Cool. Was not looking to get an execution here. Once we displace outside of it, form a new lower time frame PD array. Execution at the CE of the 5-minute. SL at the 1 minute range high, I guess you want to call it, and targeting max expansion. There was also another draw on liquidity down here. But there you go. This would be in a continuation example of catching that power 3 if you cannot catch the reversal high or the reversal low. How I solely catch continuation power of 3s is always displacement out of higher time frame PD arrays. So if we had this 5-minute, I would have looked for this 5-minute to have a retracement and a 1 minute change in state of delivery out of it, which we did have right here. That's how I utilize catching continuations. It's the same thing nearly every single time. We do not have to have a SMT at this continuation right here. However, at the reversal of when the power of 3 begins, of the manipulation high or low of the power of 3, that is where we want to have some sort of SMT in order to confirm that we're looking to displace toward said objective or draw on liquidity or low resistance liquidity, whatever the case is. But yeah, very, very simple. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Love you guys. Thank you for watching. Once again, I will put this up on the screen if you want to pause it, and I don't know. Discord is in the description. Please don't join if you're an idiot. Join if you're genuinely trying to learn. I know I goof off in the vid sometimes, but yeah. I want to be able to help you guys. I want to be able to see you guys succeed, as I am on the path to that as well. And yeah, here you go. Love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Peace.